On this feast of Christ the King, we are reminded of a number of things. It's the 34th Sunday of the year, which is the end of our liturgical year. And in the last weeks, the Church has been giving us readings to remind us of the end times, the Last Judgment, etc., etc. And this is to give us the opportunity to look at our lives and examine our lives and to see how we are living out what we say that we believe. Being the end of the year, we now look forward to Advent, a time of hope and expectation, which we can take into our lives. As Christians, we live in hope and expectation of greater things. This is Mission Alive. You're with Roger from the MSC Mission Office. Let's look a little bit about kings. Kings today are probably not in great favour. In more and more nations around the world, there aren't kings. Mostly the world is moving towards democratic government, except in some obvious places where democracy has either not taken on or has failed for different reasons. But kings, I remember some years ago, I was in Bangkok in Thailand for a conference. It's a catechetical conference. And there I met an Irish priest. And we got on very, very well. One Sunday, it was the feast of Christ the King, and he was asked to preach at the Mass. And he said afterwards, or maybe before, he said, as an Irishman, kings have not meant a great deal to us. Mostly in the Irish history, they've been oppressed by the British kings, and oppressed very badly. So to celebrate a feast of King, Christ the King, was not a feast that held great meaning. Until he said, I came here to Thailand and I saw how the king was revered by his people. That's the old king, certainly not the new king. The old king and his wife did much for the people and were greatly honoured and revered, and for good reason. And he said, now the feast of Christ the King takes on a different meaning. We could say the same for the Jewish people. That what kings did they know? The king in Rome, the Caesar, was a very oppressive king. Rome was a very harsh, oppressive regime. So, and also, Caesar in Rome was considered a god, so for the Jews a false god. And often their own kings in Israel were not very good people. They also were rich, greedy, corrupt and oppressive. And yet Jesus preached the kingdom. What we understand more and more now by the kingdom of God is more the reign of God, that where God's law and God's love are followed. That is the reign of God. And often some of the terminology in the New Testament we have from the Greek translation. And the Greek world was a different world to the Jewish world. So, king. Christ the King is almost the ideal of the king, of everything that a king should be, was summed up in the way that Jesus lived and what he said and what he preached. So today we celebrate an ideal of kingship, of leadership. And we can go further than king and take in that concept of leadership, presidents, prime ministers, whatever the leadership of a country is, even leadership of companies. What is a good leader? What is the ideal of a leader, particularly in government? What are they there for? Democracy is government of the people, for the people and by the people. And if a prime minister or president is not there for the people, then he or she is not fulfilling the role. So let's think about our leaders. Let's really consider who do we elect as leaders, Let's keep them in our mind and our hearts in prayer, that they will be good, Christ-like leaders. Thank you for being on mission with us.